ain't no last name.
Good morning, come on in. Coffee's good, fresh and hot. There's a waffle in the baker on the grill. We're making bacon. You're always welcome back.
Charge!
Well, 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 8 bells and all is well. How is everybody doing this fine morning? I hope you guys are having a good one. This, my friends, is coming to you live from the heart of Lovecraft Country in the birthplace of American religious liberty. My name is Shanthan Jetty. This is Shanthan Jetty Art, and welcome, welcome, welcome to the Good Morning Waffle Lodge Oddcast, where I'm going to talk about, I don't know, lots of stuff, and try to bring a little bit of morning to your mornings. Now, here's the rub. Here's where we find ourselves, folks. We find ourselves Amen, Gen X Catholic. You are 100% spot on there, my friend. 100% spot on. And let me see. I want to try to fix this because it drives me a little bit nuts. The text is not as big as I want it to be. So I'm going to try to get back to that Gen X Catholic. But let me say this, guys. I've been realizing and thinking about the fact that I wake up first thing in the morning a lot of times, largely because I haven't gone to sleep yet. And I thought I need to start doing something in the morning. And now, if you're like me, you may have spent a few years of your misspent youth getting yourself some breakfast anytime and getting yourself a cup of coffee at the good old-fashioned Waffle establishment in your neck of the woods. And I was no different than you, so because I'm not that exciting. And so I'm here to tell you guys, oh, look, there he is. Oh, don't you dare. Don't you dare start, is it roboting? For heaven's sake. Why? Let me know, Mark, if it's, everyone, if it's going sideways already. I just got here, for heaven's sake. Why would it be going sideways? I just don't know. But yeah, guys, I've been saying to myself, I need to do something in the morning, something to get us rolling. It is buffering for you? Oh, no, guys, that's terrible to hear. And let me see who's here in the chat. Let me say hello to my channel members. Of course, Mark's Music Obsession, alerting me to a crisis that is ongoing here in terms of buffering. Let me see here. Past Master Dan, channel member, is here. We've got Timmy Mello. Past Master Dan said, don't move around, causing cutting out. Hold still. There it is. There it is. That must be what it is. Indeed, indeed. Let me see if I can keep going here. Rock Crin is here. It's great to see you, Rock Crin. Let's see who else have I got in the house here. And of course, Past Master Dan is holding it down. He is rebagging and boarding all of his comic books. And so that is good to see. And I actually just had a thought about that. I know why it might be buffering, because I forgot to pause the video in the window where I can see the chat so I can tag people. So do let me know. Do let me know if you are able to see it and if it's able to improve. But if not, we're just going to do the best that we can, because at some point I'm going to have to get myself a better setup here. But right now, we're just keeping everything to shoe level, if you know what I mean. So here we go, guys. So right now I'm working on a page from Nosfero the Crypt Walker. And I should say Nosfero Death Will Die. And this is page 1. And I went through a couple of different iterations on it and trying to figure out what it would be. And the main thing with these first pages is to give them a sense of scope. And so you're going to be watching me work on this. And if you're listening and you're at work and you can't watch, well, you're just going to hear some various things. And we'll see where that goes. And I'm going to try to keep track of the chat and see where we are. All right, let me see here. Yeah, kick it real hard, says Past Master Dan. Absolutely right. That's how we try to fix things, I think. That's kind of how I work anyway. Yeah, kick it real hard. My father-in-law, God rest him, his favorite thing to do, and it often worked, it's still my favorite bit of advice here, he would often say that, let me see, text, truncate, I don't want that. How come more options? Ooh, that's nice. Where are my more options for the text? See, that really annoys me. I want that text to be larger. But he used to say, unplug it and plug it back in. But unfortunately, I don't think that's going to work with a live stream. So we're just going to have to go with what we go with. So yeah, I've spent the week. It's Friday. Hopefully it's you're excited to get to the weekend. And you're excited to get a little bit of a break. And if you're not getting a break, hopefully you're excited that, I don't know, maybe others are. But it's been crazy so far this year, and I have just been trying to get things, going and get myself organized. I've been burning the midnight oil on Spring Ball and trying to get things organized for this stream. So one of the things that I've been doing, and one of the things I did this morning, is I woke up after the crazy Pizza Live last night, where I realized the terror is the ultimate terror, that movie is just out to defeat us. I woke up this morning and I said, you know what? I want to do a stream in the morning. And, yeah, what a year it's been, and it's only January. You ain't kidding, Timmy Mello. I'm telling you what, it's definitely been one of those years so far already. But we'll see. Years have a lot of twists and turns in them, as I've come to expect, and I'm sure all of you guys have come to expect. But, so I woke up this morning, which is always a good way to start your day. And, I said, I need to start doing a show in the morning. I need to start doing a show in the morning. Unfortunately, I didn't have anything ready for a show in the morning. I had a bunch of stuff I could use, some stuff that needed to be updated. So this is how I spent the first couple hours of my morning, starting around 9:45 on the East Coast time. I woke up and I started building this show. And that meant putting a sunrise out the window, redoing the intro to this show, and redoing all of the overlays, and then even creating daytime cheerleaders at the Waffle Lodge. And that's pretty much how I start my day. And usually when I get into a groove and I get a sense of things, I don't have to do that much updating. But this morning I kind of did, and I think I've figured out what it is that has required me to do a lot of updating, and it required me to sort of relook at things, if that makes any sense. It's when your kids go off to college and you become what is known as an empty nester. You obviously miss your kids like crazy, and it's something that is really almost impossible to describe. But there's another factor of it where you suddenly kind of have a clearer head about things, because you're not constantly thinking about where everybody is all day long in your house. And that was something that has kind of got me rethinking what I'm doing, the YouTube thing, and it's been really good for me. And in terms of that, but I've also been able to rethink a lot of things, and one of the things I've been rethinking is not only being able to take a look at Spring Ball and really do some cool stuff with that storytelling, but also think about what I want to do on this channel and what other stuff I want to do. So, I don't know, for me, I always like to hear when, folks in the chat are starting something new or trying something new, and I want to make sure I'm sharing with you guys every morning the stuff that I'm doing. Let me see here. Mark's Music Obsession says, I wasn't asleep during Pix Live. That's right. Was just dealing with some stuff. We'll check the replay. Understood, my friend. Understood. And it's such an important thing. And Past Master Dan was telling me that he's going through and he is archiving his comic books and getting them all rebagged and boarded, fresh off of carpal tunnel surgery. So he's winning for the day in terms of pluck, vigor, and how to hit the weekend with a bang. And I think we all kind of need that sort of break. I think if weekends serve any purpose, even if you're working, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, I think there's something about the idea of the week having an end and it not just being never-ending that helps us to kind of have a little bit of a moment to pause and look at everything we're up to. So let me see if I can figure this out. And I was watching a stream the other night with my wife, and I was saying, you see, this guy has the right idea. This guy doesn't show his face when he's on stream. Oh, God, I don't want that light on. Heavens to Betsy. But this guy doesn't show his face on stream. He's got this stuff all figured out. It's just his hands at work. And my wife goes, yeah, but look at his cuticles. What a mess. And I went, you're never free. You are never free when it comes to that stuff. So, yeah, I was watching last night. They just released the movie Nosfero, the 2024 movie by Robert Eggers. They just released that on streaming. It's available to purchase. So video in demand or on demand. And I was watching that and taking a look, obviously, at the wood grain. And what a movie that is. So beautifully and carefully constructed. And I guess that's something that I've been thinking about more and more with the work that I'm doing, is just really trying to craft stuff that's beautiful and trying to find an audience that's interested in that kind of stuff. I don't recommend the 7-day work week, amen, from a personal standpoint. I believe you, Timmy Mello. That stuff will run you down. Had to reboot. iPad may take a dump. Charging issues. Oh, no. Just what you need when you're trying to, repurchase all the bags and boards and get everything sorted with your comic collection, is to have a piece of technology fail on you. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, indeed. Indeed. Let me see here. But yeah, I have to tell you, I really enjoy books, and sometimes I just go online and I look at stuff and I think, oh my gosh, there'll be a new book coming out and it's just got a certain level of gravitas to it, or it's, beautifully made. This one book I bought recently, which was La Pater, which is the Alphonse Mucha almost illuminated manuscript book that he did, which was released recently. And boy, that'll get you. That's a beautiful book, and really humbling to see what that artist was able to do. He's one of my heroes. Obviously, he influences a lot of the stuff I do with Nosfero, and just incredible stuff. My goodness. Yeah, this year started off with a bang. For those of you guys who don't know, and I am assuming he's awake by now, you never know. And hello, A Silent Spirit. It's good to see you. Welcome to the chat. Good morning to you. Good afternoon, or good evening, or good night, depending on where you're located. It is great to see you here in the chat. Yep. Timmy Mello's, Past Master Dan says, Timmy Mello did every other Saturday for 18 months. My goodness. Yeah, that's something. That's absolutely something right there. I do have a link to my campaign, Nosfero the Crypt Walker. That link is pinned to the top of the chat. And so if you have not yet backed this hand-painted book, you can get the first book before it is no longer available and before we launch this right here, which is the second book. And the way I've designed the books that I'm doing and all the stuff I'm doing is, with the exception of maybe Springball, is I am designing things so that they are self-contained. So if you buy Nosfero the Crypt Walker, you're getting a complete story. And it's interesting because it's got a really kind of gothic romance quality to it, which I guess is coming in vogue. And it's almost the counter image to Robert Eggers' Nosferatu. And I think if there's one thing that I'm most excited about when it comes to what I'm interested in collecting and what I'm interested in doing going forward, is this past year, right at the end of the year, I got my first 4K player. And there have been a whole bunch of great movies that have been remastered in 4K, so I think I want to start collecting them. One of those being, of course, Seven Samurai, which is just a masterpiece of a film. And really am excited to get that on 4K. I love that movie so much. But I know there's going to be a lot more coming out. And I got Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow in 4K. A bunch of different movies. And that's why I get so, one of the things that frustrates me about the streams sometimes and figuring out the technology aspect of this is I want you guys to be like flies on a wall here when I'm painting and get a really nice stream out of it. And I think there's got to be a way to do that live and not just pre-recorded. I mean, I don't expect it to be 4K, but if it could be 1080p, then I'm good to go with it. Because I just think our eyes have gotten to the point. I mean, my eyes are not what they used to be, but I think our eyes have gotten to the point to where we have a certain expectation. My wife was looking at old VHS footage that someone had uploaded to YouTube, and she goes, "Is that really what we were seeing?" She just couldn't believe that we were actually seeing footage that was that bad and thinking we were seeing stuff that looked realistic. But that's how the human mind is. Toshiro Mifune, absolutely. It is great to see you, Mr. Is it Do-So? Is it Huiz Do-So? Is that it? Do-So? Let me know. Akira Kurosawa, yes indeed. God bless him. I hate taking days off, but I was sick for the last 3 days. Well, you were very sick, Timmy, so you should have stayed down for sure. Sometimes when you rush it, it ends up making it worse. So always good to take the time off. Let me just make sure I get this again. I think those were the first calls off I've made in a year. Thankfully, today I'm feeling decent enough to jump back in. Yeah, I think there's some nasty flu going around. I've seen a lot of people who've gotten sick this year, and really said it hit them hard. And we're also having quite the winter here in New England. Now, granted, I think it's just a standard New England winter. Most New Englanders will tell you that. But I think it's just been so long since we've had a cold winter, it's kind of surprising us a little bit. Now, I don't know what to say about snow in Florida. That I can't comment on. So if you're one of the folks who was somewhere where they got snow, like Houston, I know Art Thibert is in Houston. I know my sister-in-law is in Houston. If you got weather in your neck of the woods where you don't usually get weather, for heaven's sake, I am sorry to hear it. It must have been something else. Or it could have been magical, depending. But it's tough to say. When you don't have salt to remove the snow, it can cause quite a lot of problems, as I learned when I was growing up in Tennessee. You could get stuck on a hill, and that's that. Temperature has consistently been 5 degrees this week. Timmy Mello, God bless you. That is cold, man. Yeah, I mean, I go outside to take the trash down to the curb or to, go and dump some recycling or grab the mail. And I'm reminded why I am thrilled about this whole indoors invention that humanity came up with, particularly central heating. Not a bad thing. And of course, up here in New England, we all have these, well, not all of us, but a lot of us have those old forced water radiators to heat us. And those things, man, once those things get hot, they stay hot for a while and they really warm you up. But, and then I think this year we also had a generator put in because we'd been through enough situations where we lost power, for days because of hurricanes and snowstorms. And we're like, we're not losing heat when it gets cold. Not having it. Let me see. Leg Kick 1 is here. Good morning, Leg Kick 1. It is good to see you in the house. We've got Shane DMN. Good thing you can... Oh, my Lord. Bless your heart. Oh my gosh, had 9 inches at my place. Insane, Mark. What did you guys do? Was it just cold for a little while? Is that what it was? Because I wondered about that. Because we once got a deep freeze. We got a ton of snow. I think it was in 93, if I'm not mistaken. We got a deep freeze in Chattanooga. It might have been 92, who knows. And we were up on, a ridge, basically. And it stayed cold for a week or two. So we lost power. There was no salt to get us off of where we were. And I think I actually we had about half a block to the bottom of the street where it connected to a main road that they had already treated. And I think I shoveled the entire street down. I mean, I was, 14 or 15. I had plenty of energy. And I just went out there and was just breaking up the ice and getting the ice off the road. Because if you start to slide coming down a hill like that, you are out of luck. Actually, it must have been older if it was 90, 93 or 94. Maybe I was 16. Can't remember. But yeah, it gets pretty bad. Yeah, you're cracking Skeleton Core comics up, which is how it goes. And good to see you, Shane. Let me see here. I wonder if Shanth will figure out who I am. No, I never figure out who you are. I never figure out who you guys are with all of your aliases and your name changes. I just have to look for who disappears. That's the only way I can really do it, is to figure out who disappears. And even then, I'm at a little bit of a loss. As you guys know, talking and painting is enough. My Sherlock Holmes reasoning first thing in the morning isn't what it used to be. That's for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's weird when I think about this, because I'm painting my originals bigger for Nosfero 2, Death Will Die, and I think the detail on these things is just going to be nuts. I've got to sell some artwork. That's another thing. Mortal V, I'm like 60% sure you're Mortal V. There you have it. And John is here. Good morning, John. It is great to see you. And then let's see who else. We've got channel member Grey Wolf in the house. Hi, y'all. How are you doing, man? I hope it's good in your neck of the woods. Let me see here. No, still cold was 21 this morning? What the heck is going on? Where are we going to go to get warmth? It's we count on you, Florida. We count on you, Florida. Lord knows we don't count on the Midwest, and we don't count on the Northeast for warmth, that's for sure. Yeah, it's not really our forte. What we're dealing with right now is going to be, I think it's going to be a cold winter, and I wouldn't be surprised if we got some serious snow this year, because already, I mean, the conditions are perfect for it. I forget what year it was, but a couple of years ago, we had that ridiculous season of snow, and I was commuting 90-something miles up to Massachusetts at that point. And once you got up to Massachusetts, they had those giant, snow clearing vehicles that they use up in Canada, with the blender in the front. And the walls around our parking lot at the school were, maybe 12 feet tall of snow just pushed up because there was nothing you could do. And we had half the parking spaces. It's crazy. Let me see here. Yeah, this is my troll alt that I rename every week or so. There you go. Well, that's the way to do it. Oh, shoot, it just jumped. Have you not had a wrench on Shantz before? Well, yeah, I mean, if you have a wrench on your regular account, I do on Mortal. That's what I figured. Yeah, I was like, you better have a wrench. You've been around here long enough. Thanks, John. It's been crazy. Let me go back here. Let me see here. Yeah, stay warm indeed, Mark's Music Obsession. It's a weird thing to me, too, because I don't think... I remember when we lived up in Michigan, actually where I lived in the same neighborhood as Dan Lawless, in one of those wild coincidences. But I remember when we were living up in Michigan, and you get a couple feet of snow and you're still going to school when you're right by the Great Lakes. And we were just outside of Detroit. And, it's not a big deal to have to, clear that much snow. But you've got salt, you've got all the stuff for it. But when you're in Tennessee, and my goodness, when you're in Florida or Texas or Georgia, they just don't have the resources. And why would you spend money on the resources? It's only going to happen once in a blue moon. And when it does, boy, do you feel it. It's just, you're very aware. And I just didn't understand why there was so much, inability to clear the snow when we first moved down to Tennessee. Because I thought, why don't they just take out the salt trucks? And it's because you're spending your money on something else. You don't need to really worry about salt trucks. When you're that far south. Seems a little bit preposterous to think about that. So, yeah. It's so strange to see this stuff in Florida, because we've been we've had our own snow and our own cold, and I do have to say, one thing that I love about New England that actually did happen this year is it did snow, I believe, on Christmas Eve. So we had snow on the ground Christmas morning. And that's, to me, I just love that. One of my favorite Christmas movies of all time is White Christmas. I love the story. I love Bing Crosby. Bing Crosby is one of those heroes of mine. I think he was a hell of an amazing man, and I should be so lucky. John, you got to head out. All right, I need to bounce. See you. God bless. Justice for Rocky. Is Rocky streaming right now? Hopefully not. But I hope he's well. I miss that kid, man. I miss that kid. It's been terrible since we've seen each other because we realize how nice it is. It's great to be able to see our families together and spend time with one another. And distance is a rough thing. Everybody goes off and lives their lives, and you wouldn't have it any other way. But it doesn't mean you don't miss them sometimes. And it was definitely one of those visits, one of those trips. All right, let's see what we can do here. So whenever I get something like this, I get to a place where I've done a certain amount of detail up to this point. One of the things I always like to lean into is I like to hit it with some heavy color. And it doesn't even matter what the color is. Sometimes it's usually one or two. But that's the thing I love to do. So you're going to watch me do that right now. Cheers all, says the Professor Antoine Dennison. It's great to see you, my man. How are you doing? How are you doing? I hope you're having a wonderful day on this fine Friday. And I hope the weather is at least decent where you are. I know everybody's getting hammered by winter weather right now. But hopefully it's not too bad where you are. So I'm going to drop in this really nice kind of orangey yellow gold color that comes with the Pelican Pan Opaque watercolor set. Because it's just, I find that if you want to get muddier colors or even grayer colors, if you start with something bright, it's just going to bring that much more energy to the painting. And if you start with a muted color and then you mix it into another muted color, well, you get the sum total of that. But when it comes to mixing complementary colors into each other, you get richer colors and things like that. One of the things I had to caution my students against, went back when I was a teacher for 18 years teaching college, I would always caution them against doing the one thing that kills color more than anything else, which is don't mix two colors that are the same color into each other. One of those being I would see students mix two reds into each other. So if it was a cadmium or if it was an alizarin, you just move that over there. There we go. If it was a cadmium or an alizarin, it would kill them both. And they just couldn't understand that. And I said, no, you don't. If a color is pure, you're not going to make a better red or a red darker by mixing an alizarin into a cadmium. What you're going to get is an ugly color that doesn't split the difference. And learning how to simplify your color palette is a surefire way to improve the luminosity of what you're doing and the color of your paintings, Oh, very nice. Antoine Dennison says, it's a beautiful day. I'm feeling very grateful to experience it. Sounds great, Antoine. I love hearing it. Channel member, professor, and almost emeritus at this point, Gray Wolf says, John, that one guy with the little kid told him about NC Farm not helping and trying to lowball him on his coverage. He lit a fire under their rear end. Oh, well, there you go. Lots of things happening in the chat. I'm always amazed what is going on. My goodness, it's almost like a news feed in there, keeping me up to date on what I should know or what I shouldn't know, depending. That's for sure. You never know. And so now I'm going to take that, and I'm just going to, even if it pulls up some of the paint I just put down, just as a little bit of guidance there. Just going to put a little bit of warmth in there as we go down. And I used to worry a lot about the gouache, kind of picking up and things like that. I worry about that a lot less. Now I just kind of, I don't know, you kind of get this instinct for it after a while. And you get to a little bit more relaxed place when you're painting. I think the number one killer when you're painting is stress. People get really stressed out when they're working, and that's tough. It's breathing is one of those essential things to remember when you're painting. I say that all the time. Whenever someone's talking to me about painting, whenever somebody's going through a tough time for that matter, I'll always say, make sure you're breathing. They'll often tell me, I am. And then I will reply, are you only breathing in? Because if you're only breathing in, it's a funny thing about the human body. you're not making more room. So always make sure you're exhaling a little bit every now and again. It does the body good. Absolutely does the body good. So now I got to figure out what I want to do here. No, I don't like that color. I mean, I like that color, but I'm not sure. Let's just put it down. Let's see what happens. And I'll go and hit it with another color once I get this down. Because I haven't decided what I want to do on this, the bottom side here of this thing. There we go. That's starting to come together. Let me see if I can really... Sorry if I'm making anybody a little seasick there. Let me see here. Breathing is essential. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. I mean, whenever I would go in to get blood drawn or something like that, when I go to the doctor, one of the funniest things is they always ask, you know, are you the kind of person to pass out? And as much as it may seem like a, you know, I don't know, like a stamp of, oh, I'm tough, I don't pass out. If you've ever been in a situation where you wish you could pass out and you couldn't, then you know how great passing out can be. So I do encourage it. However, I always say, no, I'm not one of those people who gets, you know, stressed about that kind of thing. And, you know, it's because I just, you know, keep breathing, just keep doing what I do. But I will say that whenever I am about to hit start or launch or set up or schedule a stream, man, there are those moments. I did meet this guy when I was getting my master's degree. I mean, I forget how old the kids were. I mean, I think the kids were actually, my wife and I were, oh gosh, we were expecting the kids. I actually had to leave the program because we had twins and all the stuff that comes with that. And I don't know why I was trying to spin so many plates, but you guys know that's how it is. Let me just see that. Oh yeah, I'll get to that in a second there, past Master Dan. Thank you. But it's this guy who was a woodworker who did sculpture. He was a sculpture artist, but he also worked with wood, had incredible skill. And he said to me, he goes, I said, my wife and I are thinking about starting a family. And he said to me, don't think about it too much or you won't. And that's always stuck with me. He goes, if you overthink it, you're going to just keep putting it off. There's no time like the right time. So let me get up to this one right here. Let me see here. Do you do digital changes first to add detail or color? Oh, interesting. So are you talking about my digital work, I'm assuming? Let me know if you're talking about my my digital work. When in terms of my process, do you want to know about my Photoshop process? And then I can answer that better. I'm assuming you are. I just want to confirm. I love the texture of this. Look at that. You guys can see the water, hopefully. See the way it's moving here. Look at that. Isn't that fun? All right, let's see. Ah, that was my mistake. Yeah, absolutely. Inhale and exhale, says Timmy Mello. And welcome, Simply Green. It's good to see you. Oh, no, you're hand painting. Okay, so let me figure this one out here. So now I'm going to go back and read what you had to say here. Do you do digital changes first before I to add detail or color? No, I don't. I tend to just scan it in as is. Like all of that work is there, and then it's just trying to get the colors to reproduce as best as they can. But there's not really a extensive digital phase to any of my stuff. It's usually just trying to get the color and the scan as best as I can. And that's why I have to do 2 proofs and everything like that. I mean, the biggest part of my digital phase is color correction and then just getting everything organized in InDesign. I've been saying this, you know, lately because I think sometimes I forget to mention it. But I am a one-man operation, so all of the graphic design, the InDesign files, the contacting the printers, the painting, the layout, the design, all of that stuff is done by me, with the exception of on Nosfero, thankfully. I had Eric Weathers doing the lettering on that, which definitely it was a relief to have somebody doing something else besides myself. So that was a fun part of it. But I think I approach my digital and traditional stuff the same way now. So, you know, not that question was asked, but in case anybody's wondering, I do approach the two very similar now. I treat it like a painting. I actually don't do detail lines in digital until I get to the last phase. And then if I'm looking at it and it's the anatomy is slipping or something because of the expressive line work I'm doing, particularly in the spring ball style, what I'll then tend to do is go in and just go over the whole thing with a large brush and, kind of knock out. Oh, the camera wasn't where it was supposed to be. And then just kind of knock out all of the areas that I think are a problem, and then just rework it, because detail is really important to pay attention to bring the thing to life. But if it's in the wrong place, then I just got to knock it out and fix it, because it's not gonna. You can't render your way out of composition that's off or a figure that's not placed right. There's no way to do it, and yeah. And it's just trying to put stones in and trying to keep that Terrence Fisher color that I really like from all the Hammer horror movies, and not get it too bright, because if you get things too bright, there's the value and the color aspect of it. It's going to detract from what it is you're trying to look at. It's just going to take away from it. So there you go. You see here. All right. Oh, I just realized I wasn't letting the chat scroll. Is there a certain point at which you have to replace brushes? Yes. Yeah. My brushes, I have to replace my brushes depending on what I'm using them for. If I'm using brushes for acrylics, those things are gone real fast. Because acrylics are really tough on brushes. They just are. It's a plastic, paint for all intents and purposes, and it's great for its lasting, and it's the best it's ever been. I think I was speaking to Eric Weathers the other day. We get together every now and again for painting lessons and things like that. And I was talking to him the other day, and I said, acrylic paint is nothing like acrylic paint used to be. It is something else now. It's a really great paint to work with. However, it's still as sturdy as it used to be. So you can take a brush that you were using gouache and not get it perfectly clean, and that brush is going to be able to do things for you that, still like it used to do. But acrylics, if you have just a thin film of acrylic on the hairs of a brush, it's enough that over time and in a short time, it's not got the point that it had when you brought it home. So acrylic brushes, you really have to be careful with how you treat them, because you can get into some trouble that way in terms of going through brushes. But that's a great question. It's it's the funniest thing, it's almost like the same principles of aesthetics and art often apply across all different forms of creating two-dimensional images. It's just being able to see which ones you're dealing with and which ones are the problem. I think that for me, one of the most difficult things ever was when I used to work and do my stuff in a very comic book approach, was the fact that I was always trying to think about leaving room for color. And that's a tough thing to think about, because it's my nature to put down value and color first and think about all of that stuff at the same time. And so to think about resolving it so that it can be further resolved by somebody else is really hard on my brain. I actually think that there's a real skill to doing that a person has to have in order to work that way. Otherwise, you're, I don't know, I would have to ask somebody, but it's you're really leaving yourself in the hands of another artist who could interpret your stuff very, very differently. Very differently. So that was always the nerve-wracking thing for me. I remember on my first professional job, I had a couple different colorists working on it, and one of them just looked like they discovered the filters and were just hitting random buttons. It was crazy. Absolutely crazy. And thank you for dropping the link in the chat, Past Master Dan. Nosfero's Second Chance campaign, it's right there, guys. If you haven't backed it and you like some hand-painted comic book work and a great self-contained story, do check it out. It's uplifting, it's inspiring, and I think it's a bit unexpected in terms of the way we think of stories being right now. Antoine Dennison here says, sometimes I just jump into a drawing without doing any preliminary work. I almost always regret it. Sometimes I do extensive preliminary work, and it saps my motivation to complete the art. Yep. That is the paradox. That absolutely is the paradox. I always say that my worst habit that I had when I, first figured out layout and layout sketches, and it really was something I needed to understand, to be very, very clear. I needed to understand that aspect of it. But I got really married to solving everything in my layouts and not leaving any room for drawing. And for me, some people are really great at doing everything in stages. Like I look at what Drew Struzan does. He paints the painting like 8 times. And it's great. Like that was his way of working. But for me, you lose something in the finish when you feel like you've already solved it 4 times. Because then you're kind of just a little bit robotic in the sense that you're putting that stuff out there. Now, that's not to say that if you're someone on Drew Struzan's level that you don't have all these beautiful flourishes in the drawing that have yet to happen. But for me, my brain just doesn't work that way. I need it to be something new as I work. So I try to leave a little room for happenstance when I'm sketching. You know, leave a little room for the unexpected so that I can create like what you're seeing right there. This was a page, if I can zoom out to show you guys the scope of it. This was a page that it was all about the sweep and the energy of it. And, you know, where it is right now is leaning into that. And every time I find myself going, it's losing that a little bit. Oh, it's changing. I know it's time for me to step it up and kind of make sure I reassert the dynamics of the layout or the dynamics of the composition. It's fun stuff. And it's also great, you know, I gotta say, one of the things I really appreciate right now in this crazy time we're living in is that I can go online and I can see other artists who are doing interesting stuff, and I have some colleagues and some friends who are doing some really killer stuff, and I can see the possibilities that are there. And that stuff is always good fuel in the morning, and I hope for you guys, as you head into your weekend on this fine Friday, depending on where you are in the world, I hope this will be a little bit inspiring for you, whatever it is. I know a lot of you guys who back Nosfero and back the stuff that I do, the art books and everything, that you guys appreciate inspiration. I sure as heck know I do. And if you do, then this kind of thing is fuel for you. So I hope that, you know, that you're getting some fuel out of this, because that for me is the reason why I get so excited to do this. My desk, by the way, for those of you guys who wonder, I know Rocky tried to rat me out as diabolical. Good morning, afternoon, I should say. Mike Likes Tacos. It's good to see you in the house. I hope you're doing well. Channel member. Let me see here. I'm picturing Waffle House, indeed, and Simon's Quest crossover, where the ghouls are beat back by pancake syrup bottles, pancake syrup bottles, and an extension cord whip. Make it happen. I'll see what I can do, and we'll see where we go with that. Timmy Mello says, I think I spend way too much time focusing on what I want to draw. By the time it comes together, it's pretty about 70% of what I had intended. Oh, I see. It's pretty much 70% of what I had intended. Then again, I still think, still take drawing as practice. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the thing about art and the thing about anything is that is a hand skill like this is that there's an element of it that's athletic. There's an element of it that's physical, and it's not intellectual. And so I think it's always good to remind yourself to draw a little bit and not know where it's going, or to turn off your intellectual part of your brain and turn up your observation part of the brain. So if you're drawing from life, what I always say is look at it is the primary thing. Look at your subject. And don't think about the composition. Don't think about that intellectual part of it, because you're training your eye and your hand at that moment. You're not training your storytelling part of your brain. Storytelling is important, but you can't do everything. You can't be learning everything at once, or else you get nothing. It's like putting every ingredient you have in your house into a dish. You're going to get something that you don't want to eat, and that's completely canceled out. And so, you know, oh, this person skipped leg day. But there's a reason for leg days, and there's a reason for, you know, different days to work out different muscle groups, because you'll run yourself into the ground. And it's like thinking all the time. You can't sit around pondering the nature of the universe. Hello, Mike Likes Tacos, says Past Master Dan. And Mark's Music Obsession dropping an Oddcast in the chat. It's good to see you here, my friend. It's good to see you here, as always. Let me see here. Okay. Get a little bit more of this kind of purple. I like to mix purple and yellow sometimes, because it gives you this, it's a very weird and interesting color. Whenever you mix two complements, and purple is the complementary color of yellow, you get a color that is not a grayed out color, but it's kind of a more muddy color, which is where the term muddy colors comes from. And it just does something. So when I mix white and a color together, it gives me something chalky. When I mix a complement into another color, it gives me something muddy. And so if you look at the stuff I'm doing, there's always this kind of interplay between the chalky colors and the muddy colors. And I try to just let it be physical. And there's going to be a lot of that when you see the color shift right here that's happening. As this dries, one of the things about gouache, watercolor, and opaque watercolor is there's a big color shift with gouache. And you're going to see that shift happen as it dries. And you start learning to anticipate that. And that's a fun part of it. Yes, indeed. That's right. That's right, guys. Thank you for posting the skull and crossbones. Yep, as long as it's diaphanous, that's what matters, guys. If I can't see through it, then I don't want to see it. And there was some serious diaphanous night gowning, let me tell you, in Nosferatu. But then they both talked about, I believe, if you guys want to hear something that's a little bit of a surprise, if you know Chris Columbus, the director of Home Alone and the first Harry Potter films, if I'm not mistaken, he, I believe, or actually he was, for sure, the producer, the hands-on producer for Nosferatu. I want to talk about two different filmmaking styles, but he's really great at advocating for Robert Eggers, but also, as Robert Eggers loves to say, good at trying to rein in his more, let's say, overly artsy instincts, to put it politely. And that was kind of interesting to me, because I do think that there's an element to where you can't really lose sight of the fact that an audience is going to be watching this. People are going to see it. Now, you don't have to communicate to every single person in the audience. If you try to do that, you probably end up having nobody. But you do want to try to communicate something to somebody, and about something. And that was kind of, to me, that's the fun of it. To me, that's what made Nosfero so much fun. Were those sequences where you realize where Greylock and Nosfero's bond occurred, and like why those two are, for all intents and purposes, family. You know, I mean, Nosfero lost his parents, and how that happened, the book covers fairly well. But you know, Greylock, who we don't know much about by the end of the book, and I don't know how much we need to know. In a lot of ways, Greylock is a little bit, he's got to remain a little bit enigmatic, or else he's going to lose something. I think sometimes we over-explain origins of characters and stories, and there's something great to be said for not knowing who Sherlock Holmes' parents are, you know, or knowing details about his upbringing. And the same thing goes for Mycroft. Here we go, Timmy Mello with a, dude, what? I had no idea that director did both Home Alone and Harry Potter. Well, he did the first two, yeah. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and I believe, what was it, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I think he directed both of those. And then he also worked on producing Robert Eggers films. And I think he's better off, because every artist, particularly the more of a personal vision they have, needs an advocate. You know, and I sometimes think that that's something that is really important to me, and I appreciate you guys for doing so much, is that most people, I mean, you guys are interesting. Most people have never bought a fully painted comic book. And I can say for myself, you know, when I was coming up, I don't know that I would have bought a fully painted comic book. It's, I'm working to try to bring something to life and do something, but I have to have an audience or I'm not going to be able to keep doing it. And you guys go out there and you advocate so well for this book. You tell people, hey, this is important. This craft of hand painting comic books and making traditional artwork is important. And it doesn't really matter, and I don't really have a strong particular opinion about digital. I'm using it for Springball, I think, and I use digital to create these InDesign files that I ship to printers. It's weird. It's not a belief system, but I will say that working traditionally is incredibly rare, and there's less and less of us doing it. And if these things are going to continue, then, you know, all of us need advocates, and you guys are mine, and it's really important. Yes, indeed, I am looking for one. There you go. Amen. Right? So important. The symbolic yet enigmatic mentor, one who can be what you make of him as an... That's absolutely right. One who can be what you make of him as an aspiring student. So important. I watched Nosferatu a few weeks ago. I'm still not sure how I feel about it, but I keep thinking about it. That's, to me, one of the most of course, I wouldn't expect anything else from you, Antoine. But that is a truly honest observation about that movie. I think sometimes we, and I'm glad to hear that, because I think sometimes we look at things and we go quickly to a thumbs up or thumbs down, and some movies and some works merit that. But there's some things that you look at and they grow with you a little bit, if that makes sense. And yeah, it's a wild thing how that can work with art. Like, I never tell anybody, and I would never tell anybody, oh, you have to like this movie or you have to like this music. I like some stuff that people would, that is in a sense lowbrow, and that people would heartily say, oh, okay, that's no doubt that's a lowbrow bit of entertainment. But for me, I see magic in Hammer horror films, and I see magic in the 1922 Nosferatu. It's I don't go to them for the exact same experience, but and I'm not always in the mood to watch one or the other. And actually, I'm much more often in a mood to watch a Hammer horror movie than I am to watch Nosferatu, because it's it's not the kind of film I just casually can put on. I got to be in the mood for it, and that doesn't make it a bad experience, but it makes it, something unique. There we go. And that's the fun thing about gouache, is it can be nerve-wracking to people, and particularly even with opaque watercolor. But there's this element of it where you can reactivate the color underneath and do these really nice little blends if you know what you're doing. And then I can just put a nice little edge right there to make that sort of go back in space. Do you guys see what I mean? Bonjour, Aviator Surge. How are you doing, my friend? It's good to see you. That's right. The slurping airlock was quite disturbing. Yeah, no doubt it was. Yep, Orlock. Got you. I love that it corrected Orlock to airlock. Gotcha. Can I say to my friends, you are my mentor then? Yeah, if you'd like. Absolutely fair. A painted comic, Sean, you missed the joke. I did. Oh, I'm looking. That wouldn't be the first time I missed a joke, Mark. You know how I am sometimes. Oh, my Lord. Yes, you are. And I'm going to be sending you a bunch, let me tell you that. I got a lot of books coming your way, and I cannot wait. Yeah, Mark. I mean, Mark, this is one of those things, Mark, and you're going to watch it happen. Hopefully not too many times, but you're going to watch it happen. You're going to watch when I close the art edition campaign, and you're like, I'm waiting for this campaign. I need this to wrap up so I can get my books. There's going to be somebody who comes in exactly like what happened to you and say, oh, man, you just closed it. I just missed it. And it's just like, ugh. But it's, I figure at this point, if you're in Comicsgate and you have, in particular, if you're in Comicsgate and you've missed Nosfero, I've given you every opportunity to get this book. And I think I'll have a little bit more peace with it this time. Let me see here. Shane says, I think the only painted comic book stuff I remember having was the stuff by Charles Vess, Spirits of the Earth, and stuff by Alex Ross, Marvels, Ruins, etc. Yeah, I had those. The first thing I remember getting that was painted, I think, and thinking was cool, was Havoc Wolverine Meltdown. I thought that was really cool. I did like the painted covers and the Kevin Eastman painted stuff for Ninja Turtles. I liked some of the painted stuff for Grips that Tim Vigil did. And I'm trying to think what other painted stuff I saw. There was some cool... Oh, the Rocketeer stuff that Dave Stevens painted. Some of those covers and pinups. Whew! Dave Stevens painted stuff really hit me like a ton of bricks. That and his brush artwork. I mean, his brush and ink artwork. That stuff was awesome. So yeah, Dave Stevens would absolutely be an influence in terms of how I think about painted stuff. There we go. So now we're starting to get that look. I mean, this is what's so fun about this, just to, give you guys a sense of the scope. I mean, look at all of the, let me zoom out a little bit here so you can see my messy desk. Look at all of the scope that we've got happening right there in this painting. I mean, we've got these creatures up here in the background. We've got this warrior who's going to be standing up there, who we're going to get to learn about. He's a new character in this story. And then, of course, you've got, our dear Laurel right there, watching all of this stuff unfold because she's actually having a dream as the book opens. So this is her having a dream of a place because of the events in the last book. Laurel now has visions, and that's what's so cool about it is that the end of the last book changed the character of Laurel, and so I love it. I'm having so much fun. Yep, iron nose, powder nose. Amen, Aviator Surge. Amen. Yeah, I love Charles Vest stuff, says Past Master Dan. Do you have any Charles Vest stuff that you're bagging and boarding? I mean, do you have a significant amount in your collection? Be cool to see. Blackjack, what's up? How are you doing, my friend? Hail CG, indeed. Yep. That is why Nosfero exists. And actually, it goes back a little further than that. Before I was launching books, and certainly before I was, benefiting from the Comicsgate support network and audience, I had a fan following, a very big fan following on Instagram that I think peaked at, what was it, 38,000? And now it's in the 20s, but back then, before Instagram started messing with or Facebook bought it, before Meta bought it. So I decided that I was watching what was happening in Comicsgate, and I thought, well, I don't really have a comic book I'm doing right now, but I'm going to see if I can fund an art book. And I funded 2 art books, which are available on this campaign, although I think we've only got a couple of the 2 art books available right now. And I funded those 2 art books before I came over into this space, and it was just, I don't know, it was crazy. It was crazy. And I sort of said, okay, I need to, and I had been watching all of the Star Wars stuff. That's actually how a lot of this stuff, the crowdfunding part of this started. So I already had a big following on Instagram. Then I started watching videos, people like Michael of the Choice Voice, people who were talking about what was going on with Star Wars and, all of that stuff. And then I stumbled upon Ethan, and I had never seen his work. I didn't know, I wasn't following DC Comics and things like that. He was just this guy who happened to do comics, and but was a huge Star Wars fan and was talking about that stuff. And watching, I think, what happened to him and all of that really had a huge impact on me. And he also inspired me to try to crowdfund a book. And I said, I'm going to try to do an art book. And I don't have any ideas for comics at the moment. And I am forever amazed at how those little twists and turns in the course of our life go. Because that's why I'm doing the stuff I'm doing. I have done more paintings and made more artwork in the last, I don't know how long. My years have been insanely productive in the last couple of years in terms of starting in 2018 with my first art book. It's just been non-stop. Yeah, he's a pretty brilliant dude. I think that's safe to say. No doubt about it, Metaphorical for awakening into reality of the adult world and moving from childhood and ignorance. Yep, absolutely. Spirit is the first thing. Sure, I have some comic work. Yep, there you go. Spirits, I'm sorry, is the first thing. Let me see here. Are you painting a panel for Nosfero 2? Yes, this is Nosfero 2, Death Will Die. And right now, let me see who I've got in this. On page 1, Spring Ball, I'm going to try... I'm trying to decide whether I want to do a sign up for Spring Ball or not, or if I just want to launch it. Yeah. But Spring Ball is going to be launching soon. Spring Ball is going to be launching as soon as I get the cover image where I want it to be. I was showing the cover image the other night, it's coming along. It's coming along. Let me see if I can find something here. Hang on a second here. File. Let's do... File. Let me see here. See if I can find something for you here. Downloads. God, I have so much stuff, man. I was making this show this morning. I was just working on this show like crazy. Okay, so that's not correct. That's not corrected yet. So, wait, is that it right there? Oh yeah, this one's corrected. Cool. All right, let's see what I can do here for you regarding Spring Ball. And good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're having a good one. I hope you have waffles in your life and that they are plentiful. Let's see here. File, overlays, new image overlay. And then let's go to desktop. Open this. Whoa! Now that is something. So if you're curious how Spring Ball is going, this right here is the ongoing work on the cover of Springball. And so, yeah, that's the cover to Springball Terminal Monstrosity. That's going to be the first book. And it's going to be fun to see how it goes. Yep. And we'll see where it all takes us. So, yeah, that would be any other creators doing a cover? Not at the moment, because this is all sort of new. What is Springball? Sorry, I've been out of the loop a bit. And when will Nosfero 2 launch? Nosfero 2 is going to be the campaign after Springball. And so I hadn't come up with a cover yet for Springball, which was a bit of a problem because I wanted to do a new cover for 2025, and I'm reworking the book. So that's what I came up with. Thank you so much, Catalyst Vault. I appreciate that. And thank you so much. Oh, thank you, Blackjack. I appreciate it. I'm glad you like it, Skeleton Core Comics. Very happy with how it came out. It just started as a sketch, and it just sort of went nuts. And just started working like crazy. And let me see here. Waffles other than this place are sadly not part of my diet. Understood, Mark. Understood. Uh-oh. We got one of my brothers from the West Coast. My other brother from the West Coast here. It's good to see you, Comics Rant. If you guys are not subscribed, I knew I popped in here at the right time. If you're not subscribed to Comics Rant's channel and you like comic books, you make sure you do that, guys. So Comics Rant is one of the people who has a little dedication in the back of Springball issue 2 back in the day. So Comics Rant has known me as long as Springball has existed. And so he's been there. We actually did a trip when I had the early first version of the Springball book laid out. I got in a car with Rocky and Comics Rant, and we drove down from San Francisco, where they live. We drove all the way down to the Image Studios offices to try to show it to them. And I remember really clearly, we dropped it off at the front desk, and we could see Jim Valentino walking in the background. And I said, "Oh, is that Jim Valentino? Can we show him the book?" And it was just like, nope, you're not getting anywhere. So it is what it is. Mark, thank you so much for subscribing to his channel. Comics Rant is a good guy. I know Malin is really hyped about Springball. Maybe he would do a cover. Yeah, I don't want to put too much pressure on me. John is, of course, I would love that. John is, I'm a huge fan of what John is doing. I love John's work. Yeah, I mean, that like, my brain can't even go there because, but yeah, John is, it's wild to see somebody who is that, that gets excited about a project. And I still am so grateful for that. And not only just being the first man over the wall, obviously, but just as an artist, the stuff that he's doing right now is really engaging to me. I'm a big fan of outlaw comics, and for me, John is doing some of the most outlaw comics in Comicsgate right now. There's just something about his storytelling and things like that I really dig. And if you haven't checked it out yet, Graveyard Shift Volume 5 Second Chance campaign is in the description, and it's good stuff. Thank you so much, Timmy Mello, for subbing to my brother, Comics Rant. Yeah, Comics Rant is the man. And yeah, I mean, Malin would probably crush a Springball drawing. I think he would do, because him and I have, even though I paint and do all this other stuff, John and I have a lot of similar touchstones. And I think we're about the same age. I think he's a little younger than me, but I'm not positive. Just realized I've still got that on. Let me see if I can make this happen here. There we go. But, yeah, John, I think John's a little bit younger than me, but we're about the same age. If it's anything, it's a couple of, like, 7 or 8 months, maybe a year tops. But yeah, we have very similar touchstones. We have a different, like, when it comes to, like, Rob Liefeld's work, we like different eras of his stuff. I think I like his early New Mutant style the most, and then like, that's some of my favorite stuff when he was inking himself. And then I think John likes some of the later stuff, but yeah, he's given there was only this one time where I think we were talking about it, and I showed a page, and John had absolutely the perfect insight into what it needed to make it stronger for Springball, because he understands what I'm trying to do. And I don't think I've had a lot of people give me feedback on that stylistic that I could use, that I thought, oh, that's useful. And in John's case, it was more than useful. So it's it's very cool. I'm grateful for that. Let me see here. Oh my gosh, the thing just jumped. John sets the goal Ethan hopes to achieve. There you have it. Subbed as well. Very cool. Past Master Dan. And then the cover framing reminds me of the Green Lantern Batman Elseworlds. Oh my gosh. GN. Don't know what that. The oval framing and the greens. Very cool. Yeah. I don't really know my DC stuff. That's the problem. I don't know a lot of DC stuff, or I probably would have obviously known who Ethan was if I had followed DC, but I was out of comics. I graduated from college in 98, I think it was, and I was either looking at independent comics or, I was looking at Mike Allred's Madman, which I loved. I loved Dave Stevens. I was a huge Dave Stevens fanatic by that point. Got to meet him at San Diego. So for me, the Reflection thing is straight up thinking about that Todd McFarlane Mysterio cover. And of course, my favorite comic cover of all time probably, which is Hulk 340 with the Reflection. Because I think Reflections are just such a fun thing comics can do. I'm still trying to make sense of his storytelling. Okay, I feel like I've talked about 8 things. So Antoine, you're going to have to help me there. EVS, Malin, Shane have all been doing cover swaps for each other. Very cool. Maybe Shanth, Godlike, or Graveyard Shift cover for Malin. For a Malin Springball cover. Oh, I'd be happy to do that. I love John's characters. I liked Omega Storm too. Hail noobs, says Past Master Dan. That's I love it. Lord Hinson, Comics Gator, it's great to see you. Hail Shanth. Hail chat. Good Friday to all of you. Good Friday to you, sir. And it's great to see you here in the house here. Oh my gosh. My headphones are falling out. I need to get new headphones. These are obnoxious. Let me see. Here we go. Aviator Search. I collected comic books back in the 90s for a few years when Image launched. Then I stopped for decades. CG brought me back in, so I don't know the history of stuff like Springball or anything 2000 beyond. Well, I was shocked, actually. Springball's longest-standing fan, a guy named Richard, who bought it back. I don't know how old he would have been, and I certainly know I was only 26 when I did it. But he bought the comic book, and he hit me up out of nowhere when this stuff started happening, going, are you doing anything with Springball? The universe is a wild place, guys. And I said, actually, yes, I am. For the first time since the last time, I'm doing something with Springball. It was wild. So yeah, there's people who took that book to heart. I know it got some mentions on Ain't It Cool News, back when that was a thing in their comic book articles. I forget who the writer of those was. And so that was a big deal for an indie book to get a mention. But, it was a pretty tough time to do anything in comics as an independent once the independent, Image Comics and everything stuff collapsed in 2001 and 2. Graduate college in 98. I graduated high school in 98. There you go. Nice. Oh my gosh. Shanth. Oh, geez. Love you, brother. Comics Rant says Shanth is the most amazing artist ever, but he will always be the first to praise other people's work. Springball forever. God bless you. And thank you, brother. I don't know what I'd do in this world without you, man. I'm so glad we met. Let's see here. Atrocitus, Jessica Cruz, revamped Aborod Thawne. I don't know that one. The Lantern Spectrum and Hunter Zolomon was named after EVS's son. Hunter, EVS definitely has, no doubt, lasting influence on DC Comics. He may have one of the biggest influences on DC Comics in decades. It's crazy to think. I'm trying to think of, because I was thinking this with Graham Nolan, like creating Bane is just such a massive impact in terms of, certainly when you think about the cinematic universe and the stuff that's happened as a result. But there's very few creators who throw down like that, and fortunate to know them, and they're good people. It's great to watch someone in Comicsgate using brushes. Yeah, I love doing this kind of stuff. Our T-Bear is amazing. You were 26? I didn't realize Springball was golden age, says Mark's Music Obsession. Well said, Mark. Well said. Yeah, let me see if I don't think I can even reach any of this stuff here. God, I've got so much. Oh man, I've got so much junk here. But yeah, I mean, I was learning Photoshop while I was doing that book. I didn't realize Springball's golden age. Yeah, you got a good laugh out of Mortal V. I love it, man. But yeah, I mean, I just didn't. I just didn't even think about it. Oh, Thawne is a popular version of Reverse Flash. Gotcha. Oh, cool. Yeah, I mean, because I know that Ethan. Here's the weird thing. I didn't know who Ethan was, but I could have sworn I saw an ad for CYBERFROG, or I can remember seeing an ad for CYBERFROG in Wizard magazine back in the day. I know there was one, but I don't know if it's because I saw that ad not too long ago that I am remembering it, which I doubt. I really do think I remembered it, but there was an ad in Wizard back in the day for Threshers with the Andy Smith cover in the ad. The book that I did my first pro job on when I was 17, so that would have been 1994, I think. Yeah, it was when I did my first pro job in comics. Pretty wild. God, gosh, I mean, where does the time go? I mean, I guess the only way that I can really... Oh, gosh, I'm not in frame again. Sorry, guys. The only way that I can keep track of things a lot of times is in looking at how much the stuff is improved that I'm doing now. I mean, it certainly was a wake-up call going in and looking at those spring ball files. And just, I remember how hard they were to make, and now I do things like that. It's not hard at all. There we go. Fade that in right there. I mean, these things are massive, too. These originals are crazy. And there's a reason why hand-painted comics and anything, I gotta be honest, too, anything one creator does everything on is going to take a lot. And I think that's why backers are so important. I think sometimes people think, that they're pre-ordering a book, and why wouldn't they? Because this is kind of a new thing. But the truth is that when you back a book, you're actually paying for the artist's work. And if you remove the printing cost, the shipping cost, and all that you're left with is a couple of bucks, then there's no way you can do crowdfunding, because that means you're working for free. And that's something that Comicsgate has made possible. It's made possible for artists to do independent books because our audience understands what crowdfunding is and the importance of it. So if you have not backed Nosfero, and if you have not become a channel member on this channel and you want to help an independent creator, by all means do so. You will get your name at the end of the credits, and you will also get occasional only channel member posts, which are really fun. I do post a lot of spring ball stuff in there. And let's just zoom out a little bit there so we can see the scope of this. Look at this, guys. So fun, man. I love this. And there's panel 2, so that's going to be a really fun thing here. Yo, Zaid Comics, says Timmy Mello, which makes me think that Zaid Comics. There we are. Happy Friday, dudes, from windy, freezing Chicago. Skeleton Core Comics CG really is the best. Thinking how lucky I am to have so many legends in this space. Yeah, no doubt about it. Okay, so I got the reverse flash thing. Sup, Phil, says Mark's Music Obsession. And Yo, Zaid Comics, says Timmy Mello. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, I know I mentioned this the other day, but thank you so much for sending me the little postcard. That was nice to receive. Let's see here. I know Rocky was excited too. I saw him on the stream, man. That's crazy. I don't know where you have... you got more energy than me. You're younger. I got to work on that. I don't know if it's possible to get that back, but at this point, oh my God. I'm feeling it. Now, what the hell was I planning to do there? That is the question. It's not to be or not to be. It's what the heck was I thinking when I drew that? There we go. Oh, Admiral is here. Happy Friday, Admiral. I hope you are doing well. Gosh, now this thing's going to fall over when I take my hand off of it. And welcome to a new show. I did a new background. We need some sun out that window, I decided. So let me just move this over, put some sun out the window. So there you guys are. I woke up this morning and I thought to myself, hey, I need to do a morning show and have a morning show on deck. And so the thing that I came up with, and the only thing that sort of made sense to me, was I wanted to do a morning show, and I had to build a morning show. So I don't know if I have any member chats that have come in, but if I do, Tammy D, how are you doing? See, this is to help with the late night problems, right? Shanth, are you planning on doing any cons this year? I don't know. Yeah, I haven't thought, honest to God, I have not thought of it. I have not thought of it. This year is Mrs. Ingetti and my 25th anniversary, and that's the only trip I'm aware that we're taking, so I'm excited about that. But yeah, it's I would love to go to a convention. If I'm going to see people, Graham was trying to, and it doesn't take a lot of convincing, but Graham was telling me I should really go to the New Jersey convention that everybody goes to, where he has his party, and I think that could be a lot of fun. But nothing completely planned. If I can make a fun weekend for the missus and I, that would be fun. Oh my gosh, my glasses. Sorry. Oh, thank you, Zaid. Phil, painting looks amazing, man. Y'all need Nosfero if you don't already have it. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate it. Hey, Tammy D says, Timmy Mello, 25. She's put up with you for that long? No doubt, Tammy. You know. And there you go. There is a share right there of photos. I'm not exactly sure what that is, Mark, but alrighty. Fair enough. Tammy D, hail, Timmy. There you have it. And we are having fun, guys. Welcome. Oh, the OG Spring Ball. Very nice, man. So you've got some photos up of the OG Spring Ball. Not OJ Spring Ball. That'd be a little scary. Let's see. Tammy D is laughing because Tammy D knows when she makes a good joke. She knows. So yeah, if anybody has a member chat or anything and they want to see and they have something pressing to say with their members milestone chat, I'll be happy to play some cheerleaders for you because I've definitely got. They're not that revolutionary or different, but I've got some new cheerleaders ready to rock und roll. Let me see here. Oh gosh, class is just falling off here. I would love to go to some of the CG meetups, but they are all on the East Coast, and I am in Southern California. Understood. Was for you to see, brother. Oh, awesome. Okay, let me take a look at it. How does this work? Oh, this thing's annoying. Oh, nice. That's right. You've got the preview issue and issue 1. Very cool, Mark. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I know how it is with the meetups and everything like that. Everybody. Admiral heard me. He heard me calling. The siren call. Admiral Wackass, has it been that long? Speaking of long relationships, Admiral. Admiral Wackass celebrates 27 months of membership. Yeah, sure. Happy Friday. Whip 'em out, Shanf. Here you go. And here it comes, guys. Here are the cheerleaders. Not totally revolutionary, but, you know.
Charge!
I had to make it a sunnier day out there, or else I didn't feel like it was going to work. So there you go, guys. There's your sunny day. There's your cheerleaders, and thank you so much for being a member for 27 months, Admiral. You're up at the top of the list when those credits play. Some of you guys have been doing this for a while, and I did update those credits as well. So at the end of this stream, if you were a channel member, worry not. You will find your name in the credits. So now I just got to remember what in the Sam Hill I was doing. So here we go. Alrighty. Oh man, this is going to be tricky. I was clearly thinking something when I did this. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but we'll see. There we go. Let's see how we do. That's how we get it done. Mark's Music Obsession is here, celebrating 16 months of membership. Not as long as Wackass, but just as proud. And you are climbing up those ranks, my friend, so here we go. Let's get a cheerleader for you.
Charge!
And hail to you, Mark. It is great to have you here, man. I can't imagine these streams without you, man. I feel like you've been here forever. Amoral Fat 40 ounces here says, can't stick around, but I'll watch your replay. Excellent. Thank you so much. Those do matter a lot. T. Mello says, for all we know, in the Spring Ball world, the OJ trial could be a cover for an incident involving eldritch abominations kept hush-hush. Oh, yeah. Well, there is certainly going to be a lot of that, guys. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff in it. It's not like, I said this to, to pitch by way of pitching the book. It is Evil Dead meets Spider-Man is the best way I can put it. It's not like anything, it's going to seem like something you've seen before at the start, of course. I mean, I'm not, I love comics. I'm not ashamed of influences or comic book, inspiration. But it's going to go places that you don't typically see comic books go in a straightforward way. So I'll give you a good example. So whenever you see Lovecraft, and you see Lovecraft in comic books, Lovecraft is almost, he almost puts his foot down on the entire comic book, and everything becomes this sort of pulp or pop version of Lovecraft. In this book, Lovecraft and the Lovecraft elements of this are not drowning the American superhero comic version of this. So it's not light on the superheroes, and I don't think that... that's why I think Evil Dead is such a great touchstone, because Evil Dead is its own thing, because while it makes nods to Lovecraft, it does enough to create its own world. And my book is going to have lots of references to Lovecraft, but it's not going to be a callback party for Lovecraft. That's not what I'm interested in doing with it. And I'm interested in making it contemporary. So the other thing that happens is that Lovecraft tends to happen, and Lovecraft stories tend to happen in a world that, of course, again, is very foreign from the world we're living in right now. Whereas if you're in Metropolis, or if you're in Spider-Man's New York, it looks very much like the world you're living in. Well, that's the same thing about Spring Ball's world. Spring Ball's world has things like cell phones and things like that. It is not something that is... it's not a world that is, gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? For all of its potential elements of it for monsters and magic and mystery and all of that kind of stuff, it's very much a real world. It's very much a world that is, and it's street level Lovecraft too. So you have to kind of realize that in Springball's world, there's both science and, you know, reasonably advanced science, but the only thing that makes things like, you can't have a character like Lizard, which is a really good example, in a comic book today and say, yeah, he was trying to figure out how to grow back limbs by using lizard DNA, and then he figured out a way, but it turned him into a lizard, because people are just going to go, okay, I mean, I can go along with it because this comic book started in the 60s and it's Spider-Man, and I can go along with Dr. Octopus. All that stuff is a part of the cultural canon. But if you introduce a new character today, which is what I did on the first pass of Springball, and you do that, I mean, you can do it and you know, claim, oh, well, this is the comic book language. And I'm not saying I don't do that aplenty in Springball Terminal Monstrosity. But I'm also open to the idea of, if you're going to have monsters, you have to bring a little bit of that otherworldly, monstrous world into it. So that's the thing that's going to be fun about Springball. Is that Springball still, you know, in the world of Springball, people have lives that we would recognize. And so it's not, you know, like a book like, like Hellboy or something like that, where you really feel like you're in this very particular world in the comic that really doesn't cross over with ours as much. And the color palette is a part of that and things like that. And it's just a different way of looking at Lovecraft. When you live in the heart of Lovecraft country and you're an East Coaster and you brave our winters and you grew up literally in Lovecraft's Providence, you know that time has not stood still here in New England, but it's still Lovecraft country, and that's what I love about it. Let me see here. Nowadays, Michael DJ, by the way, good to see you, channel member. Super $10. Michael, my God. I used to feel a little creepy checking out the cheerleaders at a football game with my binoculars. Nowadays, I don't care and boldly bring the high-powered glass to the stadium. Welcome, Michael DJ, channel member. It is great to see you. And here, my friend, are some cheerleaders for you.
Charge!
Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate your support, and thank you to all my channel members, and it's great to have you here in the stream. And yes, Terminal Monstrosity is a great subtitle. Yeah, Terminal Monstrosity, by the way, has a meaning that is the close of the story, the 3-book story. And the way I'm treating Springball is, and thank you again, Michael Dietsch, for that $10 super chat. The way that I'm treating the Springball story is, the people who back the Springball campaigns, these first couple campaigns, are funding the creation of the book. And they're funding the creation of a section of the book. So it's not going to be a big book. It's going to be, well, it's going to have some bonus features and the stuff that I usually do. But the story is only going to be 22 pages of story. In a lot of ways, I intend for it to be something that is rare. It's going to be a floppy. It's going to be a larger format like I like to do. But it's going to be a floppy, glossy cover, all of those kinds of things. But the story of Terminal Monstrosity is, I'm hoping to be collected, and I've got that written, and I'm working on that. But there's no sustainable way I can think of to do Springball if I can't fund the creating of this comic book with individual issues. And I also think there's something fun about that, because that makes them very rare. But yeah, the end goal is, when you get to the end of the story arc that is Terminal Monstrosity, you're going to be getting, and God, these pages are going to be so cool to get in that larger format. You're going to know what Terminal Monstrosity means, and it's very touching. And it's something that relates very much to me personally, and the stuff that, or the life lessons I've gotten, which is from my own experiences and the stuff that inspires me, which is, I don't want to give too much away, but it's not oh, wow, this is a pitch for this particular ideology. It's much more of a bit of a stoic philosophy aspect to it, and what real heroism is, and what it means to decide to be the hero in your own life. So it's a true give nihilism no quarter, attitude to comic storytelling. All my stuff is, my heroes are tough, and my heroes expect the people that they interact with, their friends and the people around them, to give nihilism no quarter, and not to expect any, and that we sometimes in life we hit walls, sometimes we run into difficult scenarios, and I've certainly had my share, but it's our responsibility it's our responsibility to change things in ourselves, and independent responsibility, individual responsibility. So that's a huge factor of the book, and it's going to be fantastic. I love the story. When I told my brother, when I told Rock what the meaning of it was, he was like, "Wow." He was like, "That's significant." And so yeah, that's the plan. So let me see here. Let me get to where did I go? Fears of the day often create the monsters of fiction. What fears today would create villains? Oh, you're gonna find out when you get Spring Ball. It's 100. Like, I cannot wait for people to see this book and get this book. It is where we are now. I am not reminiscing. It's funny. The character is 100% inspired by Todd McFarlane's and the early Image comic book stuff, which is to say the colorist, the lettering that was going on. It was just a really fun high watermark for Pop. It's going to be bright. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be detailed. It's going to be cartoony and playful. But it is a comic book for 2025. It is not a comic book for then. It's not a story for then. Spring Ball's dealing with things, and I've had to go back because imagine the technology jump from 2002 to 2025. Some stuff I'm keeping, a little bit more, classic, but other stuff I'm very much addressing because I want to tell a comic for now. After reading the original Spring Ball 1, I am foaming at the mouth for this one. It's going to be it's so cool that you guys have that because there's not a lot of copies out there. Increasingly, you guys are buying them all up. So I don't know if people are going to be able to get those soon. Ah, yes, staring into the abyss and the abyss looking back at you and the corrupting you with unspeakable madness with just a glance. 100%. 100%. Yeah. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. And Simply Green says, I like the early Spider-Man comics. There will be characters created today that 60 years down the track will only work because they were a product of this time. Yes, and you know what's cool is one of the biggest influences on the creation of Spring Ball were the black softcover Marvel Masterworks collecting the first, I don't know how many issues of Spider-Man by Steve Ditko and Stan Lee. And I really was that was the huge inspiration, was Ditko and his work. And I remember thinking, because I'm a huge 90s guy, and I'm a big, Todd McFarlane fan and all of that stuff. I grew up in that generation. But I remember thinking, wow, these guys really were just creating incredible stuff back in the day. And those Marvel Masterworks softcovers were affordable for folks like me to get a hold of. Love that stuff. And I love comics. I mean, Spring Ball and even Nosfero, these are unabashed comic books. I don't look down my nose, and granted that's a lot of distance to travel, but I don't look down my nose at comic books. It's I love comics. I don't need them to be anything else. I mean, Hulk 340 was what made me want to be a comic book artist and be an artist in that sense. I was drawing, but I didn't have direction for it. And Hulk 340 did that for me. And yeah, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, even though I'm working in gouache and Nosfero is influenced by so many other things. I don't know. I see that kind of love of creatures and monsters in the stuff that I do. And that's a huge part of what I do right now as an artist. So let me see here. All right. Yeah, I mean, it is fun. It's fun stuff. Like I said, I wish I could show you guys all of the stuff I've done. I was showing Eric some of that stuff the other day because we do painting lessons every now and again. And so I was kind of like just showing him some stuff to do with acrylics and that kind of thing. And he's really coming along great, by the way. And yeah, then I just showed him the InDesign file with all the Spring Ball stuff. Yes, indeed. Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The Shanth Man knows. That's right. Sorry, I had to do it. Hey, listen, brother. You've known me for ages, man. You can do what you like in here, Comics Rant. Indeed. Yeah, Nosferatu. Definitely. Definitely a thing. Man, you're killing me, brother. Oh, I miss you guys. It's frustrating when you've known people for 30 years now. And I've known Comics Rant for 30 years as well. And it's just the years go by, you watch, kids grow up, but you want to meet them. And I really do think that I'm going to find a way for all of you West Coasters to get out there at some point. I just got to figure out when and how that's going to work, and we'll get it done. Let me see here. I haven't bought a new comic from Marvel or DC in 20 years. Same with Image. with the exception of Copra. Is that what it is? But I buy Marvel Omnibus almost every week. Yeah, those are great too. Those are great. Yeah. I mean, I have the I've got the Todd McFarlane Omnibus. I've got the Mike Zeck and the Punisher Omnibus. I love that stuff. What a great way to collect. I'm one of those guys that because Past Master Dan was talking earlier about how he's archiving all of his comic books and he's kind of rebagging and boarding them. One of the reasons why I prefer to get Omnibus is because I'm so rough on my comics and I like to read this stuff that I just feel like I'm taking a nice copy of a comic book out of circulation, and if I'm not going to treat it like it's gold, especially if it's one of these older books, then I shouldn't be the one to have it. It should go to somebody who's really going to take care of it so it lasts for the next generation. So that's kind of always been my attitude about collecting comics. I prefer an omnibus, like just from where I'm at right now. I can see the Peter David Hulk omnibus that has Todd's issues in that, the Amazing Spider-Man David Michelini, the Marvel Universe Arthur Adams omnibus, the Spider-Man Todd McFarlane Spider-Man omnibus, and I know the Punisher one is around here too. And Punisher was actually a little bit of an influence for Nosfero, because I loved that Mobius Punisher skull, and even though I wasn't able to really do anything with it in relationship to Nosfero, Mike Zeck is an influence on Nosfero for sure. I love the way he draws characters and faces. I know he's retired, obviously, and well deserved, but what an artist he is. Mike Zeck, man, what a legend. Punisher Limited Series number 2, with its painted cover, almost like it was prophetic, is what got me into a comic shop for the first time. So I was always attracted to painted covers and things like that when I think about it. I had no idea anything about painting. I knew painting existed, and I knew I would never do it because only people who wear berets do painting, as far as I was aware. But here I am, and it's just goes to show you sometimes you know things instinctively before you really realize them. What is the purpose of a comic but to be read? Amen. That's how I'm about it too. I haven't bought a new comic. Okay, good. I already got that one. Just making sure, guys. And we've got 27 people watching. If you haven't hit that like, make sure you do. Let's move that number wherever it needs to go. Actually, we've got 23 watching. What am I saying? You guys are doing great. Don't worry about yourself. You guys are crushing it. And for all my folks on X right now, make sure you are following me, because that's where all the Springball news is going to happen. That's where all the Nosfero news is going to happen. And if you haven't backed this campaign yet, for heaven's sake, make sure you do. Because when it closes, do not be caught unawares. Nosfero, and every time I do these shipping things, where I have to, and I package every single book myself. I'm a one-man operation as far as that stuff is concerned. It always reminds me that it's exhausting. So I'm not gonna, you don't want to miss these chances, because I don't know how often I'm going to be able to do them. And well, yeah, we'll see where it goes. And these are going to be super limited. Super limited books. At some point, I'm hoping that I will be shopping this stuff around to a publisher. And, because there's no way, I'm not going to be hand shipping stuff out for the rest of my life. So I intend to make these things limited. I intend to make these things, the stuff where they go in. At some point, you know how this started. That's what I'm looking to make with my crowd funds. I want these things to be like the first issues of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I remember those were legendary when I was growing up. Like, if you had one of those were worth $100 and something. Now they're worth thousands of dollars if they're in great shape. But yeah, that's the stuff it's exciting about independent comics. There's a low print run by necessity, and yeah, I want that to be the same with this stuff, because that was a huge influence on me. Let me see here. Okay, here we go. So Blackjack says, I read the first issues of the Punisher limited series stuff. Yep, off a spinner rack at 7 or 11. First time I saw Zeck art. First time I saw Punisher. That was same for me. Went to my local comic book shop the following week and added it to my pull list. Yes, indeed. Yeah, those covers just jumped out at you. There was a really big period of doing painted comic covers in the 80s. And, you saw that with Ninja Turtles. You saw that with the Rocketeer trades and even the single issues. You saw that with, Faust and some of those books, and Grips and some of those indie books. People were doing a lot, even on black and white books especially, it seems people were doing painted covers. But, there were Punisher graphic novels and comics that had a lot of painted covers. It was a cool cool time from an art standpoint to be collecting books. And I had no idea that I was ever going to learn how to paint, because I was just looking at, traditional comic book artwork. I was never thinking I was going to be able to do something like this. And I want to make something like this that gets out there to the rest of the world. That's my one hope is in terms of doing this kind of work, is just kind of putting a flag in the ground and saying, hey, this stuff started here. This stuff started in Comicsgate. This stuff started in the independent scene and crowdfunding. And if it wasn't for that space, wherever it goes after this, the people who have those issues are going to know they were there when it started. And I think that's important. I don't think it's about saying, ooh, I knew this person when or whatever else. It's not just about that. It's about saying, without my participation in this, and without, doing the stuff that I did, like when this was on YouTube and everything else, this stuff takes money. This stuff takes time. Comicsgate creators have families. I know I do. And having people who can support you and make your work possible is essential. It's a matter, for the artwork anyway, of life and death. That's what makes it live. Yes, I did say Grips. Yep, 100%. I have a Grips portfolio over there, and I even have an original Tim Vigil sketch over there. Because he was the first, I think he was one of the first independent comics after Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that I saw. My friend Zach, who introduced me to Todd McFarlane's Hulk and comic book shops, period, his brother had copies of Grips. And so I saw that cover, and if anybody is even remotely curious about how big of an influence that comic had on me, if you know Grips, and you know the cover of Grips, the cover of Nosfero, the Crypt Walker, is influenced by the layout and design of Grips. So if you look up Grips #1 by Tim Vigil, you will see the Nosfero cover is an absolute nod to it. How is that for being able to say that was one of the things that influenced me? Yeah, it made it onto the cover. Because I just wanted a nod to... Grips was the first comic I saw that made me think maybe I should, maybe I could try to do an independent book. My first comic I did when I was 14 was a comic book called Indigo. And that comic book was just utterly inspired by Grips. I don't know where anybody would find that book. My God. I mean, it was sold out of a duffel bag when I was a kid. I only have one copy of it. If you want to talk about rare, that book is just rarer than rare. But it was a total love letter to that kind of stuff. And yeah, that was the start. Yep, absolutely right. I've got the Grips trade paperback that Mercury Comics did a while back, and then I have the single issues. Because the paper they used for the Mercury ones, it bled a little bit. And then I also picked up some of the prints that they did for Grips. I don't know where they all are. I wonder if I have any of those kicking around. Let me see here. Oh, there we go. Wow. Talk about... This is an 11x17 print. Oh dear, the reflection. Always the cursed reflection. This is an 11x17 print of Grips. The cover to Grips. So there you go, guys. There it is. There's one of the big... I had to do a nod to that book when I did the Nosfero painted cover for the Crypt Walker. Had to be done. So there you have it. Yep. Yeah, I've been collecting independent comics pretty much from the jump, and I can thank... in the South, one of the things that's interesting is that we have a huge comic book fan base in the South. Huge. And, yeah, people in the South love comics, man. Some gigantic comic shops and some real connoisseurs down there. There we go. That's coming together now. Yeah, anytime I see anything by Greater Mercury, I grab them 100%. Yep. Yeah, there's some really great prints out there from that time. And that was my first... I started thinking about painting because of that, Let me see here. Aviator Surge. I'm normally not confrontational, but I've been recently defending CG against defamation statements like no product and always late. Yep, because they imply all creators are delinquent, which is unfair to you. Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's just so ridiculous to me because it's the amount of work that goes into this stuff. We don't have a massive team behind us. We have you guys, and I understand why it would bother you guys and be frustrating for you guys. because you guys live with us in a sense as we do these streams. You are there while we're working, and you know how hard we work. But it's always going to be said. It's always going to be said. And just in terms of when people want to put anything down, I have tons of Comicsgate books, and I have shipped all of my stuff, and it is not easy. It is not cheap. There is not some $1 million grift anyone is involved in. I mean, if you just take what my campaigns gross and think about printing, even reducing that number, I don't know what people are talking about, and I never fail to ship my stuff, ever. It's like I'm just always working and always doing, and I'm a one-man show. I'm a one-man show, but you guys, without you guys, I mean, I don't know. I do not know how it would go. And so, yeah, your support is appreciated, and, don't just, whatever I'd say is this, don't let it get you down. I know it's frustrating, man, but we know what's up, and we've got you guys, and I'm so grateful for that. Absolutely grateful, but I appreciate it. I know it can be frustrating. It can be frustrating when you know what's actually going on. But yeah, I like I said, I just try to make sure that I've got you guys around me, because it is a ton of work to do this stuff. It is just unbelievably difficult. And you guys, your positivity, your support, your backing, your showing up for streams, your channel memberships, all of that stuff keeps the light on, and is just another reminder of another shot in the arm in terms of what gets us excited about the things we do. There we go. And it's coming together. But I appreciate you, Aviator Surge. You know that. Blackjack, a month ago, I found these Greater Mercury books called Assassin Force. Very cool. Reprints the first issues of Edge, Deathlord, Grips, Deathhawk, wow, Stingray, Maxwell Friday, and Vengeance. My gosh. Yeah, I actually picked up a copy of... and I appreciate you so much, Aviator Surge. You know that, too. That gets me, man. It's a Friday. It's been a long week. And when I read things like that, I am so grateful, man, for your support. That means a lot to me, just so you know. Appreciated. Very appreciated. Oh, my goodness, guys. All right, guys. Well, I have been going for a while, and I spent most of this morning, I got up at the crack of dawn to try to build this show out so I could have a background and all that stuff, and an intro, and reload all of the trailers for this. So I'm going to wrap up now, and I hope you guys are going to have a great Friday and a great rest of the day. I appreciate all of you so much. Make sure you back Nosfero if you have not yet. The link is the first one in the description. It's also pinned to the top of this chat. Have a wonderful Friday. Check out some of the cool shows that happen on Friday if there's shows that you're excited about. I think Shane does a show, and Mandy and Dale do a show on Friday. But yes, have a great day, everybody. Hail Comicsgate 100%. And take care, guys. I will see all of you guys soon. Admiral, peace indeed. It is great to see you. Mark's Music Obsession. Have a wonderful weekend, brother. And try to stay warm. My God, I can't believe how cold it is there. So from the heart of Lovecraft Country and the birthplace of American religious liberty, my name is Jonathan Jetty. You've been watching Jonathan Jetty Art in the first episode of the Good Morning Waffle Lodge Oddcast. Stay tuned. There will be more. Happy Friday to you, Aviator Surge. Great stream as always, and have a safe and warm Friday, everyone, says Timmy Mello. And yeah, I will talk to you guys soon. The channel members, your names will be in the credits coming up, so make sure you stay tuned for those. And speak easy, stay gold, keep the faith, and peace be with you guys. Take care. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.
Good morning, come on in. Coffee's good, fresh and hot. 24 hours a day. Just come on in. Come on in. You'll see. We're gonna treat you like your family. Just come on in. Come on in. We're always home. There's a waffle in the baker, on the grill we're making bacon. You're always welcome back home. Just sit right here. Coffee's good, fresh and hot. There's a waffle in the baker, on the grill we're making